Hello and a very good afternoon from Blackpool over on the Lancashire coast. Now for today we'll be heading across the Pennines to Leeds with Northern aboard one of their newer Class 195 Civity units. So with me, I'm just about to head over to Blackpool North and yeah, let's go. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications as I publish new trip reports every Friday. Now, on the way over to the station, I noticed these cool little tram benches. Now, obviously Blackpool is known for having one of the oldest electric tramways in the world, which opened all the way back in 1885, so it's nice to see the city paying homage to its tram heritage. You'll find Blackpool North Station located opposite what would appear to be the world's biggest Sainsbury's supermarket. Now this is good, as there isn't much in the way of shops and eateries within the station, and nor do Northern offer catering on any of their services, so you might just want to pop in here before starting your journey. That said, you will find one of them little pumpkin cafes that appear to be at most stations these days. Upon entry to the station, you'll find yourself in a big long concourse. To the right, you'll find departures and arrivals boards, a self-service ticket machine, and a couple of vending machines. And to the left you'll find a travel centre with staff ticket counters. The station, while far from an architectural masterpiece, is at least nice, bright and airy, and features the Lancashire Red Rose in the centre of the concourse, which, while I'm sure we can all agree is nowhere near as nice as the Yorkshire White Rose, is still a pleasant touch nonetheless. The station originally opened as just Blackpool in 1846 before being renamed to Blackpool North in 1932 to distinguish it from the nearby Blackpool South Station. The current building dates back to 1972. Eventually our train is called forward for boarding on platform number 3. The service we'll be taking a ride on today is the 1522 to York. As mentioned earlier, our ride across to Leeds today will be operated by one of Northern's new Class 195 diesel multiple units. These units are part of the CAF Civity family of trains and originally entered service with Northern in July 2019 to replace the old Pacer rail buses. Now, with Northern being a regional operator, there isn't any reserved seating on this train, and nor is there any first class, so I'm free to just pick my seat once I get on board. As we board, I thought I'd just quickly show you the wheelchair spaces, which are located next to the train's only toilet. However, note that unfortunately these trains do not feature level boarding. Seating on these trains is laid out in a 2+2 configuration, consisting of a good mix of table and airline style seats. After umming and ahhing for a bit and then being indecisive a little bit more, I eventually settled for an airline style seat on the right hand side of the train. Right, I think it's time we took a look around these seats. Legroom is okay considering that this is a commuter train. Each of the airline style seats features a relatively large and sturdy tray table, although admittedly this one could do with a bit of a clean. Down here you'll find one plug socket per pair of seats, and this worked fine. What wasn't fine though was the seats themselves. They're these horrible hard ironing board seats that a lot of the operators seem to have a thing for at the moment, although these ones aren't quite as bad as the ones the likes of Thameslink and Southern have started putting in some of their trains. Before we go, let's just take a quick look at our route for today. Our journey will see us travelling east towards Preston before crossing the Pennines, hitting the likes of Blackburn, Burnley, Halifax and Bradford before arriving into Leeds for a total distance travelled of 79.7 miles or 128.3 kilometres. Our scheduled travel time is 2 hours and 7 minutes and will very briefly hit the Class 195's top speed of 100 miles an hour or 161 kilometres an hour. And we depart Blackpool bang on time.
I know. I know. It's not naga again. People think
we will shortly be arriving at Poulton Le Fylde.
You know what I'm thinking?
If you are leaving the train here, mind the gap between the train and platform edge.
About 5 minutes after departing Blackpool, we arrive at our first calling point of Poulton Le Fylde. Poulton is a small market town, and there's actually evidence that it was inhabited as far back as 12,000 years ago, which I think is really quite remarkable. About a quarter of an hour later, we arrive at our next calling point in the form of Preston. As well as serving the administrative centre of the county of Lancashire, the station also acts as a major interchange. As well as rakes of various northern services every hour, the station also sees service from Avanti West Coast to London, Scotland and Blackpool, Transpennine Express services to Manchester and Scotland, as well as 2 nightly Caledonian sleeper services also to and from Scotland.
Face covering on our trains and at station.
After spending a few minutes on the West Coast Main Line, we eventually branch off and join the Calder Valley Line for the remainder of our journey through to Leeds. Now, just a quick word, or rather I should say whinge, about the ride quality of these trains. While the diesel generators are nice and quiet, the ride quality is quite frankly awful. It's almost like they forgot to install suspensions on these trains, as every little bump in the track is amplified with just shaking about and horrible loud noise. This makes for a rather uncomfortable experience, especially when going over points. In fact, I'd actually say that the ride quality is about as bad as the old Pacers, and certainly abysmal when compared to the Sprinters. Still, at least things start to become quite scenic as we make our way towards the Pennines. After rattling our way across Blackburn-Bolton Junction, we arrive at the station of Blackburn itself, our next calling point. As with many towns in the region, Blackburn is a former mill town, meaning it was once a key player in Britain's Industrial Revolution. Our next stop is Accrington. Now, I can't be the only person that when this town is mentioned, the old Accrington Stanley Who Are They milk advert is the first thing that pops to mind, but the town is actually also known historically for its production of bricks. Bricks produced in Accrington were actually used to help construct the Empire State Building in New York, as well as the base of Blackpool Tower, which we saw at the start of the video.
Please continue to wear a face covering on our trains.
As we continue east, here's just a quick reminder about my Patreon page. Patrons gain access to most of my videos 2 weeks before everyone else, and best of all, without all those pesky ads. You can get this for as little as $1 per month. A link to my Patreon page can be found in the top right corner of the screen now, as well as in the description below. The heavens begin to open as we arrive at our next calling point of Burnley-Manchester Road. Manchester Road is one of 4 railway stations serving Burnley, the others being Rosegrove, Burnley Barracks and Burnley Central, all of which are located on a separate line. This is also our last stop in the county of Lancashire. As we cross Ludgate Viaduct, we get a good view of the town of Todmorden. The structure was completed around 1908 and features 13 spans. A short while later, we pass over Stanfield Hall Junction, where we join up with the Manchester branch of the Calder Valley Line. Right, time for a closer look at the inside of these trains. While there's plenty of space for storing luggage on overhead racks, there are unfortunately no larger stacks, meaning that it's not uncommon to see suitcases dumped left, right and centre if the train is busy, as they often are. These trains do feature nice open gangways though, and plenty of auxiliary seating, which is good for commuter trains like this as they are often very busy. There's also information displays which are nice and clear to read, located throughout each carriage, or at least they're nice when they actually work. I find they tend to just have a bit of a mind of their own, to be honest. Each unit features one toilet, and it's of the large and accessible variety.
Please lock door. Door locked.
Now, it wasn't the cleanest, but I will give Northern the benefit of the doubt on this, as we had been travelling for quite some time at this point, but everything was in good working order and well stocked as far as I could tell, which was nice to see.
Door is opening.
If you are leaving
Oh yeah, sorry about the slightly jolty footage at some points, but as I mentioned earlier, the ride quality of these trains isn't fantastic, and yeah, I was really struggling to stand on my feet at some points while filming this actually, and no, before you ask, I hadn't had a drink. Another thing I don't mind about these trains is the interiors. I quite like the colour of the seats, and the lighting isn't too bright. Now, while it isn't going to win Interior of the Year, it's perfectly fine for a regional train like this. Just off to my left here, there is space for bicycles, although due to the lack of luggage racks, as I mentioned earlier, they just tend to be used for storing suitcases. You don't need to reserve bicycle spaces on Northern trains, and nor do you need to pay any extra fee. Back outside, we are now arriving at our first station since crossing into the county of West Yorkshire, Hebden Bridge. This is by far and away my favourite station on the Calder Valley line. I love that they've kept all the old signage. It really just feels like something from another era. Upon departing the station, be sure to keep an eye out for the old Hebden Bridge signal box. Just like the station, this dates back to Victorian times. It's been out of use since 2018, but thanks to a grant from the National Lottery, it's set to be preserved for years to come, which I think's great.
Not everyone will be able to wear a face covering.
As you would expect from such a new train, the Class 195s are equipped with complimentary Wi-Fi. While the speed isn't the fastest, it's certainly usable, and you should get a decent enough 4G signal for most of the trip anyway. Between Hebden Bridge and Halifax, we come to a stand and incur a delay of about 10 minutes. This was due to being stuck behind another unit which was delayed due to trespassers on the railway.
Halifax.
If you are leaving the train here, mind the gap between the train and platform edge.
Eventually, we arrive at our next calling point of Halifax. Now, the town is known for a couple of well-known brands, namely Quality Streets Chocolates, which you can see the factory just there where the branded billboard is, as well as Halifax Bank. You can change here in Halifax for services through to Huddersfield.
Being considerate of other customers and our colleagues. We understand not everyone will be able to wear a face covering.
As we continue east towards Leeds, we get a good view south towards Emley Moor Tower. The tower is a transmitting station and at 330 metres or 1,084 feet tall, it is the tallest freestanding structure in the UK. Now, I appreciate my camera hasn't really done a good job of picking it up, but to the naked eye you can make it out quite well, so here's a photo I took of it from the top of Castle Hill in Huddersfield. Our penultimate intermediate stop today is Bradford Interchange. This is one of two railway stations serving West Yorkshire's second largest city, the other being Bradford Forster Square, which is located on a separate electrified line just a short walk away. The city of Bradford was another key player in Britain's industrial revolution, with the city once being known as the wool capital of the world. As Bradford Interchange doesn't have any through platforms, we reverse directions here in order to complete what little of our journey remains. Eventually, we arrive at our last cooling point of New Pudsey. The station serves the market town of Pudsey, which is well within the Leeds metropolitan area. So overall, I'm not really a fan of these new Class 195 trains. Besides the fact I don't feel that they offer a particularly comfortable experience, and nor are they particularly well equipped. They are notoriously unreliable, with the type often being subject to breakdowns, well, at least in my experience. However, what was good was the scenery. I've always been quite fond of the Calder Valley route as a way of travelling across the rather picturesque Pennines region. Another really good thing actually was the price. I bought my ticket during one of Northern's recent sales, so my ride across from Blackpool cost me just £1, and that price doesn't even include any sort of railcard discount either. Now needless to say, that is exceptional value for money. Outside the sale, advanced singles on this route start at around £9.50, with on the day prices rising to around £25.30, so it certainly pays to plan ahead if you can. Also note that you will save around a third on these prices if, like me, you have a railcard. So, while I'm not particularly a fan of the Class 195 Civities, I do appreciate that these are just my opinions, so be sure to let me know what you make of these new trains in the comments below.
We will shortly be arriving at Leeds.
If you are leaving the train here, mind the gap between the train and platform edge.
Anyway, welcome to Leeds, which is the largest city in the county of Yorkshire, where we have arrived 6 minutes late at 25 to 6 in the evening.
Leeds. Malden service to York. The next stop is Dartmouth.
So yeah, made it to Leeds about 10 minutes late in the end due to, well, allegedly some trespassers on the railway. Journey overall, as expected, nice scenery, but I just am underwhelmed by these new trains, you know, they just don't seem very well equipped. They've not even got luggage racks, and they've got them horrible ironing board seats. I just, you know, the Sprinters and the Pacers are around for like, what, 20, 30 years? I just can't see them lasting that long, to be honest. Obviously they do have some more modern amenities like plug sockets, which are nice, but yeah, overall not a very overwhelming experience, should we say, not particularly comfortable. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications as I publish new trip reports every Friday. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next Friday.